the weekend show. I love this song too. So history has been made overnight with a billionaire tech entrepreneur becoming the first non-astronaut to ever leave a spacecraft in orbit. There he is.
Very
Shadow
cool,
dancing.
isn't it? For more on this, let's bring in Leroy Chiao now, former NASA ISS commander from Houston, Texas. Leroy, good to see you again. So this footage is incredible. They just step out into the nothingness? Is it that simple?
Well, it's pretty incredible. This is a big first, private mission here with no former experience doing spacewalks, going out in a brand new spacesuit and never been tested before in the actual environment. The actual spacewalk was about 30 minutes in duration. They went outside mostly to evaluate the suit. The suit is not as sophisticated as the NASA suit in that it doesn't have a backpack that contains the oxygen, the carbon dioxide scrubbers, and everything else, the thermal control system, but relies on an umbilical to feed the oxygen and have the other things, serve the other functions, including communication. Nonetheless, a big first step for the commercial world. First EVA by a non-professional crew.
You know, I guess all of us looking from around the world, it looks so simple. What sort of training would he have done, and what does it mean for the future?
Well, they've been training for a while. I know this mission has been in development for a couple of years. I don't know how much of that was training, but for this kind of a spacewalk, or what we call EVA, extravehicular activity, is very simple. Basically, open the hatch, kind of pop your head out, go take a look, and then move around a little bit on the handrails and come back in. Like I said, the suit is not as sophisticated. It's new. I'm sure it's got some innovation in it. But, as EVAs go, this was a very simple one. But, I mean, I'm not trying to diminish the importance of it. This is the beginning of the true commercial age, where companies like SpaceX will probably one day have their own astronaut corps that's not made up of former NASA astronauts like me, and not even using NASA astronauts, but trained by them. And much like airline pilots are trained by their airlines.
How far into the future? I mean, billionaire status aside, not anyone can just explore space.
Well, that's true. That's absolutely true. Of course, this mission came about because Mr. Isaacman is a billionaire and could afford to fund this as well as his previous mission, and he's got others that he's paying for, that he's planning to fund. And it's great that he can do that, but I foresee down the road the companies like SpaceX will recruit people. They will vet them and they will select them, much like NASA does today for the government, the U.S. government, and then they will have their own astronaut. They won't rely on NASA or even former NASA people.
I'm not likely to get selected. Leroy, just quickly, how are those other two astronauts going?
Sonny and Butch, how are they doing?
Well, they're doing okay. They're doing fine. They're up there. Of course, the Starliner came back, not without some problems. And so I think NASA made the right call. And I think Sonny and Butch, they're consummate professionals. They're up there. Astronauts like being in space, although I'm sure they didn't like the impact, the unexpected impact to their life plans here on the Earth. But you know what? We're trained to be flexible. We're trained to roll with the punches, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Beautifully said, Leroy.
Yeah.
Well, we're expecting an update on that tomorrow too. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Leroy. News time. Here's Jane.
Thank you, Sarah. Good morning again. First this half hour, we have breaking news on those anti-war protests in Melbourne, kicking off for a third day now on a major road. One demonstrator parking her car on King Street Bridge, chaining herself to the vehicle before police began moving both of them out of the way. Another group has also gathered on a busy Flinders Street intersection and they are blocking traffic. Breaking news across Sydney this morning too, where two major incidents are bringing the morning commute to a crawl. A police operation at Maryland's triggering heavy delays for more than 20 kilometres along the M4. That motorway has now reopened in both